Let me ask you something. Do you honestly believe your country's economy, or maybe even your job, is safe forever? Germany sure thought so. But today, the world's greatest engineering giant is, well, quietly struggling just to keep the lights on.
For decades, Germany was that neighbor. You know the one, the undisputed economic backbone of Europe. A country that literally rebuilt itself from rubble with engineers so precise that the phrase, "made in Germany," became an ironclad guarantee of quality.
But that perfect image, it's now crashing into a very harsh reality. In 2024, Germany officially entered a recession. Volkswagen, an 87-year-old institution, said it might have to close German factories for the first time in its history. And get this, BASF, the world's largest chemical company, didn't just cut jobs. They flat out said, "Germany is too expensive. We're leaving." Now, this isn't just a bad year or a patch of bad luck. This is something systemic. So you have to ask, how on earth did the engine of Europe just stall out so completely?
Well, it turns out this is the result of 5 fatal mistakes made over the course of 2 decades that are now all hitting at the exact same time. And what's happening to Germany is a huge warning sign for every developed country. Yeah, including yours.
All right, let's dive in. The first 2 mistakes are deeply connected, and they both revolve around a single, absolutely critical resource: energy.
It all starts back in 2011. Right after the Fukushima disaster in Japan, Chancellor Angela Merkel decided to shut down all of Germany's nuclear power. Now, the move was popular, for sure, but it left this giant question hanging in the air. Where would the energy come from now? The answer they chose was Russia.
And Germany didn't just dabble. They went all in on cheap Russian gas. They built the Nord Stream pipeline. At its peak, a staggering 55% of the entire country's gas came directly from Russia. Just think about that. More than half the energy powering the engine of Europe was controlled by just one country. So, when Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, Germany's entire energy strategy just collapsed. The gas stopped flowing, and electricity prices for German factories, they didn't just increase, they tripled, literally overnight. Just like that, their biggest competitive advantage was gone.
Okay, let's move to mistake number 3. This one's less about a single policy and more about a really dangerous mindset that can infect any successful organization or country.
This quote just hits the nail on the head. It's a psychological trap. When you're the gold standard, you stop trying to invent the future and you start trying to preserve the past. It's a classic trap for any successful organization. All that historical success makes you terrified of risking what you have for what you could have, and that's exactly what Germany did. You can actually see this divergence in action. While Silicon Valley was in garages building Google and Apple, Germany was protecting its car companies. As the whole world shifted to electric vehicles, what were Volkswagen, BMW, and Mercedes doing? They were busy lobbying to slow down EV regulations, all just to sell more diesel cars for a few more years.
This comfort mindset is what kills empires. It's a series of small, easy decisions made to protect yesterday instead of building tomorrow. For any leaders watching, the big warning sign is when your meetings are all about managing risk instead of seeking out opportunity. Germany had the money, the talent, the engineers. They just refused to believe the world was changing right in front of them.
All right, now we're going to look at 2 systemic issues that created an absolute perfect storm, a massive workforce crisis, and a system that was completely incapable of fixing it.
Here's a number that should honestly terrify any economic planner. By 2035, nearly 1/3 of Germany's entire workforce will retire. Gone. The engineers who built the machines, the technicians who understood the factory floors, all of that institutional knowledge is just walking right out the door.
It's a ticking demographic time bomb. Germany has one of the lowest birth rates in the developed world. And a genuine attempt to bring in new workers back in 2015 was met with super slow integration and a lot of political backlash. So the question is still just hanging there. Who is going to run the machines? But even when Germany tries to fix its problems, it slams into a wall of paper. Take the Funkmast problem, the cell tower problem. To modernize its network with new 5G towers, every single permit required countless sign-offs. The result? By 2023, Germany's 5G coverage was actually worse than Romania's.
This is a classic case of what you call bureaucratic sclerosis. It's what happens when a country starts to mistake process for progress, when following the rules becomes way more important than actually getting things done. See, Germany isn't failing because its people stopped working hard. It's failing because its system stopped working at all. So this is where the story really pivots, because what's happening to the perfect neighbor down the street, well, it isn't just a German problem.
The mistakes of Germany should really be seen as a mirror for every other developed nation that has gotten comfortable, that believes its success is permanent.
So let's look in that mirror. If you're watching from the US, the UK, or Canada, do any of these warning signs sound a little familiar? Aging populations, slowing innovation, energy policies built more on hope than on actual strategy, bloated bureaucracies that can't move fast enough to compete. The same vulnerabilities are there.
And this whole thing reveals a really cold, hard truth. Real national wealth isn't forged in a crisis. It's secured during moments of comfort. It's when things are going great, when factories are running and unemployment is low, that you must prepare for the storm.
Germany had 20 years of good weather to fix its energy dependency, to invest in new technology, and to reform its bureaucracy. It didn't. The lesson is brutally simple. Comfort is the enemy of survival. Which leads us with one last question. Wealth is built in comfort. Are you using yours wisely?